make the fight. But we didn't know how serious it was. Me and Ryan, we just basically got on the phone. I told him everything I wanted. And yeah, no, I am a competitor. And, you know, when I first started out boxing, you know, when I took it serious and, you know, I was like, this what I'm gonna do. You know, I wanted to be, I said, you know, I'm gonna be great in the sport. I'm gonna be the best. I'm not in here to be, you know, just a competitor. I'm not in here to you know, be just one of the other guys. No, I wanna be the best. I wanna be the guy. So it hasn't, nothing has changed. So the world could just see me face it, but, you know, I'm gonna rise even higher than I was before.
Now that you're taking care of business, how does you and Devin Haney end?
The boxing timeline didn't just get loud. It caught a verbal uppercut and fell through 3 floors of ego. When Keyshawn Davis fired shots and Devin Haney answered back with all your team energy, the internet didn't scroll. It froze like somebody pulled the Wi-Fi plug mid-argument. This wasn't polite call-out season. This was verbal warfare with receipts pending. One fighter poked the hornet's nest. The other showed up with gasoline and a microphone. Suddenly, everybody became a fight analyst, a body language expert, and a certified drama correspondent in under 60 seconds. This isn't just rivalry. This is pride with pay-per-view potential. The tone, nuclear. The reactions, immediate. The comment sections, a digital riot with boxing gloves. You could feel promoters blinking fast and fans leaning closer to their screens like the next sentence might sign a contract. One spicy quote turn into a timeline earthquake. This makes reality show reunions look like yoga retreats, because when elite fighters start talking like this, it's never just talk. It's positioning, it's pressure, it's psychological shadow boxing in public. Stay locked in, because this story doesn't simmer. It detonates. The moment that line hit the timeline, the boxing world didn't react. It snapped to attention like a drill sergeant walked into the room. Keyshawn Davis threw the verbal spark. Devin Haney fired back with that all your team energy, and suddenly the sport wasn't just about footwork and jabs. It was about pride, hierarchy, and who owns the psychological real estate. This wasn't a polite call-out wrapped in media training. This was raw, spicy, unfiltered fight talk that sounded like it skipped the PR department and went straight to the bloodstream. Within minutes, feeds were flooded, clips were trimmed, and captions were written like emergency headlines. The setup matters because this didn't come out of a peaceful vacuum. This tension has been simmering like a pot with a loose lid. Both names carry weight, both carry confidence, and neither was built in a quiet laboratory. When you've got undefeated energy, rising challenger hunger, and elite-level ego in the same conversation, you don't get dialogue, you get thunder. Fans who were minding their business 5 minutes earlier suddenly turned into bait lawyers with invisible law degrees and very loud keyboards. Keyshawn's call-out landed like a shoe thrown at a chandelier. Direct, bold, no sugarcoating. That alone would have started a conversation. But Haney's response didn't cool. It added jet fuel. The wording, the tone, the sharpness, it carried that unmistakable message. You're not just calling me out, you're stepping into my airspace. And in elite boxing culture, airspace is personal property. Fighters don't just defend titles, they defend aura. The first reaction wave was instant polarization. One side yelling that this is exactly what boxing needs: fire, rivalry, personality, danger. The other side saying this crossed from competitive into disrespectful. There is no middle lane online. Nobody says interesting exchange.
They
say cooked him or out of line. Subtlety gets 0 likes. Extremes get THUMBNAILS. What made the moment explode harder was how fast the clip traveled. Different angles, different edits, different captions, same verbal grenade. One page titled it Domination. Another titled it Meltdown. A third called it Exposure. Same words, 3 storylines. That's the modern media maze. Narrative depends on who uploads first and types in all caps. Fight fans immediately shifted into prediction mode, which is their favorite sport besides boxing. Suddenly, everybody had insider knowledge. This fight is already being negotiated. This is contract pressure. This is clout chasing. This is legacy defense. Amazing how many executives appear in comment sections during controversy. If confidence paid rent, these threads could fund arenas. The sarcasm across. The timeline hit championship level. People said the temperature rose so fast sanctioning bodies should investigate. Others joked that microphones should require a license before fighters are allowed near them. One viral comment said the tension between these two could power a small city if converted to electricity. Exaggerated? Yes. Emotionally accurate? Also, yes. Old interviews started resurfacing like buried treasure with Wi-Fi. Past quotes from both sides got replayed with dramatic zoom-ins and red circles like conspiracy documentaries. Lines that sounded normal months ago now sounded prophetic. That's how hindsight edits reality. Yesterday's confidence becomes today's warning sign. Context gets stretched like chewing gum. Meanwhile, boxing purists and crossover fans started their usual civil war. Purists talking resumes, belts, divisions, timing. Entertainment fans talking energy, storyline, marketability. One group brought spreadsheets. The other brought GIFs. Both brought volume. Nobody brought agreement. The sport has two languages now, statistics and spectacle, and this moment spoke both fluently. Promoter watchers entered the chat next. You know these folks, they analyze reactions like stock traders reading candle charts. Notice who liked the post. Notice who stayed quiet. Notice who riposted. Silence became suspicious. Emojis became evidence. A fire emoji was treated like a signed contract. A laughing emoji was treated like disrespect. Digital hieroglyphics decoded by people with too much caffeine. Then came the technique debates, which is always hilarious when triggered by a verbal exchange. People suddenly breaking down hypothetical matchups from a quote, style nightmare, speed difference, defense gap. None of these people have seen a signed bout agreement, but they're already scoring round 3. Fantasy matchmaking is undefeated. What really amplified the moment was pride optics. In fight culture, tone equals territory. If you sound too calm, they say you're scared. If you sound too heated, they say you're rattled. There is no winning the interpretation game, only choosing your weapon. Haney's response sounded like a line drawn with a permanent marker. Not playful. Not neutral. Territorial. Memes arrived right on schedule because humor is the internet's ambulance siren. Split-screen edits, movie villain overlays, anime aura. Effects, dramatic orchestra music behind the quote, the creativity was disrespectfully efficient. One edit made it look like a press conference from a superhero movie. Another framed it like a courtroom verdict. Comedy turns tension into shareable currency. Reaction channels went live within the hour. Title screaming verbal war. Fighter goes. Nuclear rivalry explodes. Panel guests nodding aggressively. Hosts pretending neutrality while clearly enjoying every second. Debate sells better than agreement. Agreement doesn't trend. Conflict prints clicks. Under all the noise sits the real strategic layer, psychological positioning. Verbal dominance attempts before physical contact. Pressure applied before contracts get signed. It's mental chess with microphones. Every sharp line is a pawn move trying to force a king reaction. Fighters don't just train bodies, they test nerves publicly now. And here's the cliffhanger tension point. Once words reach this temperature, walking them back looks like retreat. Escalating them looks like commitment. That fork in the road is where rivalries are either born or buried. No one wants to blink first. Because blinking online gets replayed in slow motion with dramatic music. By the time the first 24-hour cycle finished, this wasn't just a quote exchange anymore. It was a storyline with momentum, sides, predictions, and emotional investment. And momentum in fight drama is dangerous because it demands a next move. Silence becomes suspicious. Response becomes inevitable. The chessboard is now public. And the next piece is already being lifted. The second wave of chaos didn't arrive quietly. It kicked the door open wearing meme armor and carrying a megaphone. Because once that exchange between Devin Haney and Keyshawn Davis finished, its First lap around the internet, the content machine didn't slow down, it shifted into overdrive. This stopped being a moment and turned into a movement. Edits multiplied, reaction videos cloned themselves. Debate clips spread like wildfire in a dry forest full of microphones. The algorithm didn't just recommend it, it escorted it too. The front page like a VIP guest. Boxing Twitter, fight Instagram, YouTube panels, live chat rooms. All of them turned into digital press conferences without security. Everybody talking, nobody yielding, volume turned up like it was sponsored. People weren't even greeting each other anymore. No hello, no how are you, just straight into takes.
He violated. He stood on business. He crossed the line.
He drew the line. Same clip, 4 verdicts. Online court runs fast and never adjourns. Then the fighter-adjacent voices started circling. Not direct disses, oh no, those come with risk. These were the slick comments. The interesting posts. The eye emojis. The subtle laughs. The motivational quotes about respect and hunger posted at suspiciously perfect timing. Social media shadowboxing. Nobody naming names but everybody knowing names. It's like watching political debates where every sentence is aimed, but none are addressed. Memes evolved into full cinematic productions. I'm talking fake movie trailers with dramatic narration, in a world where callouts have consequences. Slow motion walk-ins, thunder sound effects, glowing red text. One viral edit compared the tension to a superhero origin feud. Another said the verbal exchange had more heat than a championship 12th round. Hyperbole? Absolutely. Effective? Extremely. Fan bases started building digital trenches. Supporters of each side compiling highlight reels like evidence folders. Best moments, sharpest quotes, most confident clips, all arranged like courtroom exhibits. Nobody wanted to argue empty-handed. This wasn't debate anymore. This was content warfare. Clip versus clip, aura versus aura, confidence versus confidence. The analytics crowd joined next, the numbers professors of the fight internet. They started measuring engagement like it was a stock surge. Look at the traction, look at the repost velocity. Look at the cross-platform spread. Suddenly, a heated quote became a data event. Charts probably got made. Spreadsheets probably cried tears of excitement. Old sparring rumors and gym whispers resurfaced too. Because the internet never wastes a rivalry, it expands it. Stories people ignored last year suddenly became important context. Training camp anecdotes turned into mythological tales. Everybody knew somebody who saw something. Secondhand stories became third-hand facts. Accuracy packed a suitcase and left town. The debate shows, formal and informal, turned the volume even higher. Hosts talking like fight promoters, guests talking like philosophers of violence. Questions like, is this promotion or personal? Got treated like doctoral theses. One panel argued tone for 30 straight minutes like it was a Supreme Court hearing. Nobody changed their mind, but everyone raised their voice. The pop culture comparisons got wilder by the hour. Some said this rivalry energy feels like a heavyweight version of a rap beef rollout. Others said it's like 2 alpha characters meeting in a fighting game cussing before the controller even connects. One creator called it main character syndrome versus main contender syndrome. Ridiculous phrase. Painfully memorable. Promoter speculation hit a fever pitch. Fans started theorizing matchmaking like conspiracy boards with red string. This is negotiation pressure. This is leverage play. This is pre-contract. Intimidation? It's incredible how many contract experts exist who have never seen a contract. If guessing were sanctioned, half the comment section would hold belts. Technique breakdowns got even more dramatic and more fictional. People analyzing hypothetical exchanges like they already watched the fight in a dream. Round 4, he gets caught. Mid-fight adjustment decides it. Sir, this bout exists only in your imagination and 3 Photoshop posters. But confidence doesn't need reality, just Wi-Fi. What really supercharged the outrage engine was pride language. Fight fans understand disrespect dialect fluently. Certain phrases don't land as jokes, they land as challenges. And when pride gets activated, neutrality goes extinct. Even casual fans start choosing sides like picking teams at recess. Loyalty becomes louder than logic. Meanwhile, parody accounts had a field day. Fake press conference quotes. Satirical scorecards for the argument itself. Judges scoring verbal rounds. 10-9 on delivery. 10-8 on disrespect. Comedy thrives where tension lives. Humor is the pressure valve, but it also keeps the story alive longer. Some veteran voices tried to cool things down with reason takes about timing, divisions, career paths. The internet rewarded them with low engagement and moved on to louder people. Calm analysis is broccoli. Drama is dessert. Guess which gets consumed faster? The phrase itself, the explosive quote, became a catchphrase remix. People edited it into unrelated clips, video games, movie scenes. When your words become audio stickers, you've crossed into viral permanence. That's the internet's version of engraving. Behind the entertainment layer sits the real escalation, expectation. Once rivalry talk reaches this altitude, audiences don't want clarification. They want confrontation. They don't want context. They want contracts. The crowd starts pushing the narrative forward like a stalled car. Pressure builds not just on fighters, but on promoters, networks, sanctioning bodies. Noise becomes a force. And here's the dangerous twist. Escalation has gravity. Each response must be sharper than the last, or it feels like retreat. Each counter must hit harder, or it feels like surrender. That's how verbal rivalries become unavoidable collisions. Pride plus public plus platform equals inevitability math. By the end of this reaction cycle, the storyline wasn't optional anymore. It had traction, tribes, and temperature. It moved from spicy exchange to active rivalry file. And once a rivalry file opens in boxing culture, it rarely closes quietly. It waits. It builds. It demands a next chapter because now the audience isn't asking what was said. They're asking what happens next. And that question is louder than any quote ever could be. Now we enter the most dangerous round of any public rivalry. Not the call-out, not the clapback, but the consequence phase. This is where the noise turns into narrative gravity. Because once words reach this level of heat between fighters with real status and real trajectories, the sport itself starts reacting, not emotionally, structurally. Reputations shift. Matchmaking conversations change tone, and every future interview becomes a loaded question waiting behind a polite smile. This is where talk stops being entertainment and starts becoming leverage. First impact zone, reputation calibration. Before this exchange, both names lived in their own lanes of respect, momentum, and separate story arcs. After, their names are now verbally linked in the public brain. That matters more than people think. In fight culture, linkage creates expectation. Expectation creates pressure. Pressure creates either mega fights or awkward dodging accusations. Once fans smell rivalry, they don't let it go. They bring it up in every comment section like a persistent alarm clock. Now, every performance by either fighter gets reinterpreted through this tension lens. If Haney dominates a future opponent, people will say he's sending a message. If he looks cautious, critics will say the call-out got in his head. Same with Keyshawn. Sharp win equals validation. Tough night equals. See what happens when you talk. Fair analysis quietly exits the building. Narrative analysis takes the microphone. Second impact zone. Relationship ripple effects. Gyms, camps, coaches, training partners, they all feel indirect heat when rivalry goes public. Not because they're involved, but because affiliation becomes association. People start tagging teams, mentioning camps, comparing circles. Boxing is an individual sport wrapped in team identity. When one name fires, the blast echo hits the crew. Loyalty questions pop up where none existed before. Promoters and networks feel the tremor too. And they pretend they don't, which is adorable. Publicly, they say things like, "we'll see," and "right time, right place." Privately, they absolutely notice engagement spikes, clip velocity, fan demand noise. Boxing matchmaking is half sport, half temperature reading. When rivalry heat rises, business thermometers get checked. Opportunity doesn't knock, it trends. Public perception becomes a tug-of-war rope soaked in gasoline. Supporters frame their guy as dominant, composed, alpha. Opponents frame the other as reckless, loud, out of pocket. Both sides use the same footage to prove opposite conclusions. It's not about what happened anymore. It's about which interpretation wins the share battle. Modern sports narratives are voted on with reposts. Media interviews become verbal minefields after moments like this. Every microphone becomes a trap disguised as a question. Did you see what he said? How do you respond? Does this fight make sense? There's no neutral answer. Anything calm sounds dismissive. Anything fiery sounds escalatory. Fighters must now shadowbox with wording. One wrong phrase becomes tomorrow's headline banner. There's also the ego lock effect. Once statements reach a certain aggression level publicly, backing down feels like defeat even if it's strategically smart. Pride is a performance variable now. Fighters aren't just managing careers, they're managing image dominance. And image dominance doesn't like reverse gear. That's how verbal rivalries become contract pressure over time. Fan-based behavior evolves too. Casual viewers turn into emotional investors. They track posts, likes, follows, interviews. They build timeline theories like sports detectives. Every social media move becomes evidence. If one fighter posts a training clip, it's called a response. If the other posts silence, it's called plotting. Projection becomes a hobby. The meme economy continues extending the lifespan of the conflict. Even after the original clip cools, remix culture keeps it breathing. New edits, new captions, new parody overlays. Humor preserves controversy like digital refrigeration. Long after serious analysts move on, meme pages keep the rivalry on life support with jokes and exaggeration. Comedy is the unofficial archive. The danger zone nobody mentions enough is expectation inflation. The more this rivalry grows in public imagination, the bigger the eventual fight must be to satisfy it. Regular fight won't be enough. It has to be cinematic. Fireworks walkout, press conference tension, face-off electricity. When expectation balloons too large, even great fights can feel underwhelming. Hype can become a trap if not matched. There's also legacy math creeping quietly underneath the noise. Fighters at elite level don't just measure risk, they measure timing risk. When is the reward curve highest? When is the danger curve lowest? Public pressure tries to speed that clock up. Career strategy tries to slow it down. That tension between fan demand and professional timing is where friction lives. And let's be brutally honest, not every rivalry leads to a fight. Some lead to 3 years of interviews and 0 contracts. Others lead to surprise announcements nobody predicted. Uncertainty is the only honest forecast. But once the rivalry brand exists, it never fully disappears. Even if they fight different opponents, their names remain conversationally paired like unfinished business. The psychological layer is the most fascinating. Fighters pretend words don't matter, then respond to them immediately. That tells you everything. Verbal shots are scouting tools. They test reaction speed, emotional temperature, confidence, stability. A quote can function like a jab measuring distance before the real swing. Mental warfare now happens in public view. What makes this particular clash stick is that both sides sound like they believe themselves completely. No hesitant phrasing. No diplomatic padding. Certainty versus certainty is narrative gold. Audiences don't rally behind maybe. They rally behind conviction. Even if it's loud, sharp, and controversial. Now we sit at the edge of the next chapter cliff. No resolution, no handshake. No closure ribbon. Just tension parked on the runway with engines running. The next interview, the next tweet, the next clip could push this into overdrive or redirect it into a different collision. That's the truth about high-level fight drama. It doesn't fade. It waits, and when it returns, it usually returns louder, which brings us to the real suspense hook. The next move hasn't been made yet. And in rivalries like this, the next move is never small. And if you made it through this entire breakdown without throwing your phone, congratulations. You are officially ringside certified in verbal fight chaos. Because this wasn't just a quote and a comeback. This was pride, power, positioning, and pure competitive ego colliding in public. This is what happens when elite fighters stop using inside voices and start using headline voices. One spicy exchange and the whole boxing internet turned into a courtroom, a meme factory, and a prediction casino at the same time. Now I want you in the comments like judges who forgot how to score quietly. Who won the verbal round? Who crossed the line? Who applied pressure and who applied gasoline? Drop your take and stand on it 10 toes down. No fence sitting, no diplomatic essays. Pick a side and swing. The comment section is the undercard. And I read it like a scouting report. Smash that like button like it owes you championship back pay. Subscribe like Breaking Fight Drama has your home address and a delivery schedule. Turn on notifications like a corner team banging the ring apron. Because rivalry updates, callouts, leaks, and boxing shockwaves land here fast and loud, other channels whisper updates. We broadcast aftershocks. Share this with that friend who says, I don't follow boxing drama, but somehow knows every quote within 6 minutes. Yes, that undercover analyst. Bring them in. Let them argue. 2. This is where callouts get decoded, clapbacks get dissected, and fight politics get put under stadium lights. No sugarcoating, no soft focus. Just sharp breakdowns and sharper commentary. Stay locked. Stay loud, stay ready. Punch press. Where the punches land twice. Once in the ring, once in the headlines.